Okay, this video is somewhere in between an apology letter to every client that sat in my chair for the first 10 years that I was doing hair and my story. I started off not knowing what I was doing. I had no systems, I had no plan, I had a little bit of hustle, but to be honest, I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing, and I nearly quit probably 30 times because I thought I was the problem, and I thought everybody else had the answers, and I just didn't, but I was never provided the tools. So I say this as a hairdresser now of 37 years, but remembering these early moments like they were yesterday. And I want to take a moment to share these with you because I feel that it could inspire you to take things to that next level. My senior year of high school, I worked in a salon called Kathy's Hair and Nails. I was the only hairdresser there. There was no guidance, no mentors, no one to teach me what it was that I was doing. And so I just destroyed haircuts. Fortunately, I moved out of there down to San Diego and I found my first real salon at a place called Model Call. The team was awesome. They became some of my best friends. We were all super creative, but there was no structure on education, no one to teach me why I was doing what I was doing, and nobody to really teach me how to cut hair, nobody to teach me those fundamental things that would allow me to explore my artistry. But I loved cutting hair so much that I was good at copying what they did, but I couldn't have ever told you why I was doing what I was doing because I honestly had no idea. But somehow I got through it, probably one botch job after the next. And when I finally got to a place where I was sick of not having a backup plan, which was such a heavy feeling, and being so young, I was kind of emotionally insecure. I think it wasn't until I started to seek education, and one of my brother's friends started a distribution channel here in San Diego, and I started attending their haircutting classes. And that, I think, was the thing that opened up my eyes to the realities of the industry, that a system could be everything. And one day I was asked to teach for them. And I would say that was truly the biggest turning point at that time, because when you finally have to teach something to someone else, you have to know what you're doing. You're forced to have to understand it on a whole new level. And that's when I fully started to really learn about haircutting. That's when I had those breakthrough moments. And I would say I was probably all alone when they happened. They weren't glamorous, and it wasn't some great light bulb that went off, but it was kind of an epiphany, and standing there realizing that I had no idea of what I was doing up until the moment. That was a humbling moment, but super exciting because I finally knew where I stood and how to grow from there. And that was everything. From there, I was lucky enough to connect with these two mentors, Mohsen and Roger, Mohsen of TG and Roger of Model Call. And that being, again, the foundation of those first 10 that started to make shift. But it wasn't really until I met Andrew Bartfield, the VP of Education for L'Oreal, that brought me onto their team back in the early 2000s, that I think things really started to shift, and it really started to give me exposure to how the industry was. And I think between those three mentors, they taught me that I wasn't bad at cutting hair, and I wasn't broken, and I wasn't untalented. I just didn't ever have the right tools. So that realization, I think, was empowering because, again, I was sort of mental with the whole thing. I paused for a sec because I got to breathe. Like, this is all traumatic for me.
Approximately 10 hours later.
I'm bringing a lot of things up right now. But again, this changed everything. I think working with L'Oreal gave me the experiences of kind of a whole new world. And it got me to educate with other incredible talents all over the world. I traveled throughout the country like 80 billion times. And I think the experiences started to kind of form in me and give me something of humility that we're all at where we're at. And what I started to realize was that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know very much at all. And so it's never about knowing it all. It's always about learning more. And that's how growth works. I think the scariest place for any of us to be is in the place where you think you do know everything, but embrace it the way you want. I think being a student always keeps it easier. Like, I feel like that's humility. People can relate to you, and it allows you to grow. And through the experiences I had with writing education for L'Oreal, teaching for Tony and Guy, I started to piece together what I wish I had had from day one. And that's when I started to put all this together in a real way. And that's when I started to create Hairdressing Made Easy 7 years ago. Not because I thought that the industry needed another curriculum, another haircutting course, but because I needed it. I needed to see if I could put something together that made it all easier, that made a system where you could stop guessing. And once I built it, I realized that every stylist I had ever taught was craving the same thing, that we had this convoluted education out there. And to give stylists a clear path to take the guesswork out of cutting would potentially help everyone, to teach them the why, not just the what, to teach them a system that I wish I had 37 years ago that would start them off on the right foot, or if not defragment what they're at. And I feel like most of us are just winging it until we sort of get to a place where we're like, okay, I'm done with sucking and I want to shift things. If you can relate to this, I want you to share your story down below because I know it'll inspire others. I'm dying to hear about it. And again, it drums up the algorithm. So this is going to share more with more stylists just like us. If you're ready to take the guesswork out of cutting and you're ready to have more clarity and you're ready to check out Hairdressing Made Easy, I'm going to throw the link down below so that we can start to grow together. But before you go, don't leave. And I know some of you are probably thinking this, like, what's the difference of this and other courses, Mr. Travis Parker? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to be breaking down in that video right there. And I'm going to show you most courses on why they leave you stuck and in that same cycle, and how HME, aka Hairdressing Made Easy, is designed to change everything for the good, for the better. So again, click right there and I'm going to take you right to that next video. And I promise you, it's going to flip your perspective. I'm Travis Parker of Hairdressing Made Easy. I hope you enjoyed my story. I will see you in that next video. Peace. I love you. Take care. See you soon.